Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Chad's President Idriss Déby has died in clashes with rebels in the north of the country. The announcement of his death came shortly after provisional election results which projected he would win a 6th term in office with 80% of the vote.
Un conseil militaire de transition.
An army general said in a televised statement that Mr. Déby breathed his last defending the sovereign nation on the battlefield. He had gone to the front line at the weekend to visit troops battling rebels based across the border in Libya. The military council will now be led by the 37-year-old late president's son, Mahamat Idriss Déby Itno, a 4-star general. The rebels, from a group calling itself Front for Change and Concord in Chad, attacked a border post on election day. They were advancing on the capital, N'Djamena, several hundred kilometers to the south. Meanwhile, the UN Refugee Agency has said that more than 2,000 refugees from the Central African Republic have crossed into Chad in the past week following violence. It says the refugees, arriving after fleeing clashes between government forces and rebels in northern CAR, face difficulties securing food, water and shelter in Chad. The agency says its ability to provide for the refugees' basic needs is severely constrained by inadequate funding, with a third of the country's population being affected by the country's instability. The UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, says the number of migrant children trying to reach the US from Mexico has increased 9-fold since the start of 2021. The agency says the rise from 380 to nearly 3,500 has overwhelmed the facilities at Mexico's reception centres. The children are mainly from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador and Mexico itself, and half of them have arrived without parents. The Mexican government has recently sent troops to its southern border to clamp down on migration north, and many more unaccompanied young people and migrants' families are likely to be detained in the coming weeks. Last week, President Biden reversed course hours after signing an order to keep the number of refugees admitted annually to the US at Trump-era levels. Thousands of migrant workers are fleeing New Delhi by the busload amid a 6-day lockdown in the capital to curb the latest surge in coronavirus cases. Thousands of people were seen passing through the city stations and queuing to get onto buses that will bring them back to their hometowns. The lockdown kicked in on Monday night as Delhi joined around 13 other states across the country that have decided to impose restrictions, curfews or lockdowns in their cities. India has recorded more than 200,000 new COVID-19 cases daily for the last 6 days, marking the world's worst jump this month. The UK government say they will take whatever action necessary, including legislative options, to stop plans for a European Super League. It follows Prime Minister Boris Johnson's meeting with the FA and Premier League officials, as well as fans' representatives. The Premier League also held an emergency meeting with the division's other 14 clubs to devise a plan of action.
And it seems that there is only one topic.
Meanwhile, the FIFA president warned the breakaway teams they could not continue to play in their current leagues and competitions, as well as leaving to form a new tournament.
War.
Armin Laschet has won the backing of German Chancellor Angela Merkel's party to run as a centre-right candidate to succeed her in September's elections.
Sehr intensive, eine sehr transparente.
The leader of the Christian Democrats was supported by 77.5% of the party's executive board members. His rival, Markus Söder, said he accepted Mr. Laschet's victory and only a united party could be successful at the polls. Mrs. Merkel, who has been Chancellor since 2005, is set to stand down at the 26th of September federal elections. And finally, scientists have launched 5 neon-coloured rock orbs down a Swiss mountain to study the growing risk of rockfalls around the world. These so-called test rocks, the heaviest weighing 3,200 kilograms, are part of ongoing research aimed at studying the effects of climate change in the high-altitude mountain regions. The scientists studying rockfall trajectories say their work may help other mountain regions prepare for the growing risk given by melting glaciers due to global warming. Over 3 years, the team hurled the boulders down different mountains hundreds of times, gathering data for a computer simulation aimed at predicting a boulder's landing spot to within a metre. And that's your international news around the world in 5, and now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.